First Fortnight, 2022. Open.
It's been a year of transformational change at First Fortnight. We have said goodbye to our founder, CEO, Dave Keegan, our long-serving Chief Operations Officer, Edel Doran. I would like to thank them for their contributions in bringing First Fortnight to where it is right now. The board and I have restructured the organisation and welcomed on board our new CEO, Maria Fleming, and new Chief Operations Officer, Laura McNaughton. We have launched Cactus as part of our creative therapy services, and we now have a diverse board in place, welcoming on board Sheena Meehan, Amy O'Hanlon, and Gary O'Reilly. We have a new governance and finance position in place to strengthen our governance and improve reporting to our funders. I am delighted on behalf of the board to launch the 2022 First Fortnight Festival.
Welcome to the launch of First Fortnight 2022. I'm delighted to be here today with Maureen Kennelly, Director of the Arts Council, who's going to officially launch First Fortnight.
Listen, brilliant to be here. I'm a huge fan of First Fortnight and all that you do, so it's a great honour to be here.
Thanks,
and
Maureen.
Congratulations, it is absolutely gorgeous. The excitement, as you know, I come from the festival world myself, so you and I share that sense of excitement and joy that there is when you kind of get this out of the box. So,
And I think for some festivals last year there was no physical brochure and it was online, and while it was great that festivals still happened, literally like you say, there's nothing like the joy of opening a box and taking out the print and the smell of fresh print and all the hard work that artists, organisations, staff and volunteers have put into getting the brochure just to this point before we even get to the festival. So yes, for all of us who work in festivals, we know the joy of a printed brochure.
It's brilliant. No, there's nothing like it. And you had sent me the draft programme a couple of weeks back, so I was enjoying seeing, oh well, this is to drop in here, and again, just that sense of anticipation. And I guess when I was looking through it, what kept occurring to me was, you know, there's so many stories in here, and that I like to think of the arts essentially as storytelling. You and I were swapping a few observations before this about stories and about the place of stories within medicine, in fact, and within physical and mental health. And I was telling you that I was reading a wonderful novel called Burnt Coat by Sarah Hall. And the very first line is, "Those who tell stories survive." So, and there are all sorts of fantastic other quotes that we could throw around all day. But I wanted you to tell me about maybe your story with this festival, and then to tell me about the stories that are threaded through this brilliant programme.
Yes, thanks, Maureen. And it's interesting, that's been coming up a lot for me in conversations that I've had with people around First Fortnight. It seems to be very alive for people, the idea of telling stories. And I suppose what I shared with you as well was my story in coming into First Fortnight. So my background is working in theatre primarily, and just prior to this I was working with the Dublin Theatre Festival, and in 2019 I received a diagnosis of breast cancer and had to take some time away from the festival, and I was just back in work and just starting to get into things when we hit lockdown, and the Taoiseach stood up in the States on the 18th of March and announced lockdown for the country, and the next day I started 4 weeks of radiotherapy in the middle of a pandemic. And I suppose like everybody else, it gave me time to pause and think. So on top of being in the situation we were in, having a chronic illness, I was also faced with looking at the situation and where I was. And one of the things that I got involved in was working with the Irish Cancer Society to give the story around cancer during COVID, and stopping cancer becoming the hidden C was the campaign that we were working on. And a part of me then realised, like, I enjoy being involved in advocacy and working and campaigns and social justice, and I loved my job as well in Dublin Theatre Festival. But when the opportunity came to work with First Fortnight, it perfectly combined the two passions, social justice and the arts, and I became part of what I hear is now being called the Great Resignation, which is people, during the last couple of years taking time to reflect on who they are, and what they would like to do with their remaining time. And one of the things that I wanted to do was to work with an organisation that would combine the passion I have for social justice and for the arts, and First Fortnight perfectly embodied that. But the quote that you discussed with me, Maureen, as well, around those who tell stories survive, I suppose struck a chord with me in relation to one of the events that we have in First Fortnight, which is we're featuring Anne Ingle, who told her story and not only survived but thrived. So Anne Ingle, at the age of a young 82, wrote her first book, which is her memoir, beautifully, honestly and very vulnerably sharing her story about her love for her husband and the life they had together, and the 8 children that they had together. And sadly, her husband struggled through a lot of his adult life with mental health issues, and tragically then took his own life. And Anne shares so beautifully about her loss, but added to that, within her story, is the strong impression that you get is that the loss was greatly added to by the stigma that was attached to that at the time. And things have moved on a bit, but there's room for more improvement. But just the way Anne tells her story and shares with us how the stigma that we as society put on Anne and her family added to the struggle that they had. So I'm delighted that Anne has agreed to be part of First Fortnight and share with us some of the stories from her book Open Hearted. And then the stories that we have through First Fortnight are told not just through literature and storytelling in that way, but also through plays, through dance, through visual art. And we have Rory Draper in the Presentation Arts Centre in Wexford, and his exhibition Breaking the Bubble has a way of telling his story of coping and surviving and thriving through lockdown, by focusing on everyday actions and depicting that through his artwork. And he has a beautiful phrase where he speaks about returning home to Ireland after a breakthrough, and it's just a lovely way to address the issue of mental health. So the storytelling in so many different ways, verbal, non-verbal, physical, dance, movement, plays, literature, art, music, it's all in here.
Oh, well, it's fantastic. And one of the projects that we're particularly pleased that you have included is from the young dance artist Toby Omotezo, and that's a commission award from the Arts Council, so we're thrilled to see that included. And it's exactly a good example of storytelling through hip-hop and dance. Do you want to talk us a little bit about that commission, because that's pretty special, I think?
It is. We're very excited about that, and Toby would have been connected to First Fortnight before this year, but it'll be my first time working with Toby, and he'll be the film is based in Limerick and filmed in Limerick, and working with a number of young artists across different disciplines: film, music, dance, rap. So I think it will be very exciting. And one of the things that Toby wants to look at is how we can communicate our feelings through physical movement and literally embody the feelings that we're having and what's happening in our lives. And that will actually be the opening event of our festival, and it is free and online. And again, the information is on firstfortnight.ie. And we are so grateful to the Arts Council for supporting us in a commission award so that we could commission Toby to create that piece this year. And as you know, Maureen, only too well, it's been a really difficult time for artists, so it's so valuable for festivals like First Fortnight to be able to commission artists and give them guaranteed work on a particular project.
Well, it's a thrill for us that a commission like this would be included in such a good festival that has such an excellent reach, so we're thrilled to see it included. And just going back there a little bit, you talked about like the inhabiting of somebody else's consciousness, you know, and the idea that the arts can help us to generate empathy for each other. And there was something, I'm sure that maybe lots of people listening in, like you, I'd say, are fans of Elizabeth Strout, the great American writer. And there's something that I wanted to read out because I read it lately in an interview that you gave, which I just thought was amazing. So the article was saying she's a great respecter of mysteries, particularly her own, and that her great driving force as a writer is to try to find out what it feels like to be another person. And she refers to a key realisation early on. It came to me that I was never going to see from anybody else's point of view except my own for my whole life. Isn't that just amazing? I wouldn't know whether the red they were seeing was the red I was seeing, let alone whether their happiness felt like my happiness. I still can't get over that, which I think it's kind of overwhelming, isn't it? You know, and it's that how can we get inside each other's skins? And the arts are so incredible at helping us do that. So I was going to ask you about experiences from all the many things you've seen, and maybe particularly during COVID. Like, is there an experience that has really resided with you in terms of saying, okay, I think I have a better insight into what being somebody else might be as a result of seeing that?
I was thinking about this when we spoke earlier, Maureen, and there were so many things during lockdown, and I suppose because of my own story and where I was at, I was really taken with reading books during that time, and delving into things. And you did feel like you could experience things, in a slightly different way. And one of the really important books for me over the last period was A Ghost in the Throat, Doireann Grief's book, and she actually explores in that book like her looking at life through a different writer and through a different prism, and that really impacted me over the lockdown, that piece of writing. And then as things started to open up, we had little windows and little patches where we could start seeing things, first attending events outdoors and then later indoors. But during last summer, or just at the end of the summer, I went to see Beckett's Happy Days, Leantha Sunna Oscuelga on Inisheer, and I was like sitting in a field watching Happy Days, and the vista was, you were looking at the mound and the horizon behind and the sea and then the sky. And there was a moment when I was listening to the play, and to be honest, my Irish wasn't up to it completely, like I've cúpla focal, but there were lots of times when I was completely lost in the play. And at one moment in the play, I just got completely flooded and the tears started to flow, and I was feeling all sorts of emotions, and I wasn't sure exactly what or exactly why, but at some point there, myself and the character of Winnie, I just connected completely with her and was filled with emotion, and that really reminded me about the power of the arts. And that's why I think First Fortnight works, because the arts have the power to connect to people, to bring healing sometimes to people, but also to take people outside of themselves and look at things from a different direction. And what we're looking for really with First Fortnight is to open a conversation between the artist and the audience, a conversation between different audience members, and in exactly as you referenced there, to try and understand what you're seeing from somebody else's point of view, and maybe to question a firmly held belief you have perhaps about mental health. Do you perceive it to be a weakness in some way? Are you sure that your opinion is the correct one? Are you open to questioning that opinion? Would having a conversation with somebody else move your opinion on in any way? So that's what we're looking for through our 2 weeks in January.
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, it's a big ambition, but it's a noble one without a doubt. And I think, and I hope very much that I'm not being Pollyanna in this, but I think that the experience of COVID for all of us will have upped our empathy levels, because I think it's, that thing of facing the common challenge, and being able to, even the very thing of you're on Zoom all day, you're looking into other people's rooms, you feel that you're far closer to people in a way, or you're far more aware of what's beneath the surface for them, and something else that has stayed with me very much is a line from Simone Weil, where she said, the only important question to ask another human being is, what are you going through? And which is quite powerful. Yeah. It's just pare it back, take all the crap away, and just say, that's actually the only important thing that we need to communicate to each other. What is this thing that you're facing? How can I understand it? How can I possibly help you with that challenge that you might be facing? So the programme is terrific. I'm so pleased for you. Congratulations. You only started in August. It's an amazing achievement. You have a fabulous team, obviously, with you as well. I know some are new and so some are there a while. So congratulations. I'm so looking forward to it. It's so fantastic to have it at the start of the year when, as you say, it's a bit of a low tide for events traditionally, and we're all feeling a little bit blue after, Christmas and so on. So it's fantastic that you continue to do this work, and you're the right person for the job, which is terrific to see. So congratulations.
Thanks very much, Maureen. I certainly can't take the credit for all of this. There is a great team behind it. We have a great board of directors, and I'd like to thank our chair, Jerry O'Connell. I'd like to thank Laura McNaughton, who's working with me and joined after me on First Fortnight and has done great work to date, but also Edel Doran, who was with the organisation for 7 years and has only recently moved on to new adventures. And a lot of the programme that people will see in 2022 was programmed by Edel prior to her leaving. And I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank the Arts Council, yourself and Carl at the Arts Council, and everybody there for supporting us in the work that we do. And I'd like to thank our supporters, NOSP, which is the National Office of Suicide Prevention at the HSE. We have so many supporters and funders and stakeholders that believe in First Fortnight, that get behind the work of First Fortnight, and I hope that they will enjoy, as much as I'm anticipating I will enjoy, the festival in 2022, which runs from January 2nd to January 16th. So thanks again, Maureen, for being here with us today.
Thank you.
I hope you will come and join us January 2nd to January 16th, 2022 at First Fortnight Festival. You can find out all the information about the 60 plus events that we are running across the festival dates at firstfortnight.ie. So thank you from Smock Alley today, and from myself and Maureen, we declare First Fortnight officially launched.